Welcome to yet another challenge lab by Skillable for AZ500. This one's called Configure Security Recommendations for an Azure Virtual Machine. And what we're going to do here is basically have a virtual machine and then just try to secure it using the security recommendations feature. So we're going to start off here with our lab environment. This is pre-created for us. And then we should have a resource group here called corp data. So let's see if that is true. Nope. Yeah. There it is. Okay, that's cool. And in this resource group, we should have a virtual machine called vinvm. That is true. And we can see that this is actually running currently. So this has already been deployed for us. That's great. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to enable Defender for Cloud for this virtual machine. And in the virtual machine UI, you can find this under security, not surprising. And here is Defender for Cloud. And then let's see what we can find here. Security alerts, try it free for the first 30 days. That's what we're going to do. Then we get onto this getting started page with lots of information. And we just need to click on this big upgrade button here. All right, so now that is most likely working. So what we need next is we also need the public IP address of our virtual machine. So let's go back to the virtual machine and then copy down the public IP. Perfect. Then let's connect using RDP. All right, here we are. What we need to do is make sure that Defender firewall is on. And the way we can do this on Windows Server is using Server Manager, go to local server. And then in the properties here, you can see Windows Defender Firewall, public on. So that is correct. Then you can see here that the firewall is on for the public. Maybe even click on that and see that it is actually on. Okay, so let's close this. Then, okay, so let's look for the control panel. There we go. And then under System and Security, Windows Defender Firewall. And what we have here for incoming connections is block all connections to apps that are not on the list of allowed apps. All right, that's set up properly. So let's close this. And next up, let's go back to Defender for Cloud. And then we have some recommendations here. You can see there are two recommendations currently available. So we should have a vulnerability assessment done, as well as we should have a network security group. Okay, so one thing that we would need to do here is maybe install some endpoint protection software. And we can do that using an extension. And that's under settings, extensions. And there is this Azure Auto Manage extension. And it's fairly simple to install. We basically just click on. All right, while that's installing, we had a problem with the network security group, so let's go and take a look at that. So here you can see that we actually have an allow in our network security group for RDP. And that's not ideal. So let's remove that. Delete. Yes. And now it has been deleted. So of course this means that now if we would try to connect to our virtual machine, again, okay, so that's kind of one part of hardening the environment. So we're closing down the RDP port. We can still do stuff like just-in-time access. It's not the end of the world, right? Next up, let's enable disk encryption. So for that, we need to have a key vault. Let's create one. I'm going to put it in the same resource group and call it KV for the lab number. Standard tier is okay. And then we need to give access to disk encryption. That's great. All right, that's created. So now let's go back to our virtual machine. When VM. And then here under settings, we have entry for disks. And then under disks, there is this button called additional setting. And what we have here is encryption settings for ADE, and we can select which disks we want to encrypt. And we only have an OS disk, so let's encrypt that one. Then we need to define the key vault. Well, this is the one we just created. And then for a key, we want to create a new one. We're going to call it, I don't know, BEK1. We want it to be enabled. Let's create it. All right, so now that's created. And we're going to use that key. So then we just save this, and now we'll start the encryption operation. All right, so now that is done as well. That's our final activity for this lab. So maybe if we go back to the virtual machine, we can now see that the OS disk is actually encrypted. But yeah, so this is everything we have for you in this lab. Thanks again a lot for listening to me, and see you in the next lab. Until then, bye.